Welcome to Get It Right. I'm your host, Margaret Mwirori. On today's show, we are talking about rabbit farming, and we're joined by an expert who will take us through the rabbit farming process for commercial production. Thank you so much for joining us. So, Naftali Mocha, tell us more about yourself.
Thank you so much, Maggie. My name is Naftal Mocha. I'm the founder and CEO for City Farms. City Farms started in 2016. So what we basically do is urban farming using mostly the organic methods. So I started with rabbit farming. We started on the rooftop because that is ideally what we do. So we are trying to encourage people to utilize the smallest space that they have in the city to grow crops and even rare animals for food security.
So, what are your general thoughts when someone tells you they want to start commercial rabbit farming?
The first thing I'd like them to know is they should know what they are doing. They should do a lot of research on the rabbit business. And then first thing they should know, when they're going to rear these rabbits, do they have ready market for this, or how are they going to hack through it? And then another thing they should determine is the starting stock breed. They should know if this is for meat or just for pet lovers, or it's just for consumption, home consumption. And then they should also know about the caging, because if you want to do the rabbit farming, you need to start to do it right. You should not just start with just okay, you can start small, but you at least you should know the ideal cage that you should be having. Like the best cage should be automatically draining the poop and even the urine to one central place to avoid clogging and even dirtifying of these cages, because once the rabbits are staying in a dirty place, they are prone to diseases. Another thing they should also consider is the age of the rabbits. Once you want to start the breeding or the business, you should at least start with young rabbits so that you can be able to nurture them as they grow.
Speaking of rabbit cages, what are the considerations that a farmer should keep in mind?
But the first thing you should consider when constructing a cage for rabbits is the direction of wind and sun. It should be directly opposite, because the rabbits can die of pneumonia if they are rained on. This should be an all-weather cage, in that even if it's time when it's too hot, there is a ventilation, and if it's rainy, there is roof for that will be able to protect them. And then it should be having a very automatic flow, whereby the poop or dropping are not clogging in the cage. They should fall through the floor, and then the urine should be automatically collected, as in this cage should be having a very good drainage system, in that when the urine comes out, it should be collected in one center.
So, what about building materials? What is your preference as an expert?
Oh, yeah, for me, I prefer timber, because timber, at least timber is warm as compared. Some people use metal because they say timber is expensive than metal, but for me, timber is good, because in future you can even dismantle the cage and even do other things. But timber is known to have more warmth for the rabbits than the metals.
Assuming I want to start rabbit farming for commercial purposes, how many rabbits should I start with?
It's good to start with 3 females and 1 male, because rabbits are very prolific animals, because they give birth after 1 month. So their gestation period is 1 month. So if you met them today, in 1 month you are having babies. So even if you start with 3, after a very short time, you'll be having very many rabbits. But at least you should not start with very many rabbits that are going to overwhelm you. You should start with a very good number that you can be able to manage as you grow as a farmer.
So what if I want to go bigger? What if I don't want to start with 3 and start big with 100? What should I do?
Okay, let's say you want to start with over 200,000 in this venture. I'd advise you to start with, let's say, 20 to 30 rabbits. Because rabbits, they give birth in a very short time, that is 28 to 31 days. So within 1 month, you might be overwhelmed. So that is why you are advised to start with a good number, so that you can also learn through experience, so that you can also so that your offspring that started in the farm can grow. And then from there, you can be able to know their characteristics and which one you're going to choose for the next breeding stock.
So how can a farmer control breeding to avoid being overwhelmed?
Oh, thank you. You need to, as a farmer, as a rabbit farmer, you need to have a breeding schedule. In that, you need to separate the males from the females, because you see the rabbits are always fertile. So even if it gave birth today, it can still conceive the very very day. So you need to separate them, and then you at least should have a schedule that after 4 months, how many rabbits should I be having in this farm, so that you can also be able to budget on feeds and even housing, because the more they grow, the more cages you need in your farm.
So commercial rabbit farming highly depends on breed selection. So what can you tell us is important in selecting a breed?
Thank you for that question. What a farmer needs to start with is knowing the breeds they want to start with. You should consider, because there are some rabbits that grow faster than the others. So let's say you want for meat, you need to have at least Flemish giant, checkered giant, New Zealand white, and you should also consider the age and even sex of the rabbit. Once you are going to buy the rabbit, you need to check on the genitalia, check if they are functional, because sometimes you can buy a rabbit and maybe they have an issue with their reproductive system. So you need to make sure that they are okay. Another thing is the age. At least you should have a young rabbit that you're starting with, that should be over 5.5 months. That is, it's ready for mating and breeding, and then it should not be too old. Yeah, because you want to buy something that is going to at least last longer in your farm, so that it can even give you good returns. Yes.
I've been to quite a few restaurants and I have never seen rabbit meat on the menu. Who are the consumers of rabbit meat?
We help people who still consume. So if you want to buy rabbit meat, you go to the supermarket, some specific supermarkets, and even in some Chinese restaurants. In terms of market, Kenyans are yet to embrace this meat, this rabbit meat, and that's why we need to create a lot of awareness of the health benefits of this white meat, because it has been scientifically proven to have almost zero cholesterol, and this is advised to patients, let's say high blood pressure, diabetic, those who are diabetic, and even the old people. They should be eating this meat. Currently, as a Kenya, as a country, the people who mostly eat the rabbit meat are the Chinese. So that is where most of the market is currently. But we should also be trying even harder to convince more people to come on board and embrace this, and shun the other types of meats, like the red meats.
So why is this meat taken lightly by Kenyans?
It's lack of information. That is the problem we have, lack of information. People don't know the health benefits of this rabbit meat. Rabbit meat is very tender and so sweet as compared to the others. Sometimes, like for me, I do eat the rabbit meat and I'm used to it. Sometimes when I'm eating beef, I feel like I'm chewing gum. So you can't compare it with the others.
So you talked about rabbit urine and manure being benefits of rabbit farming. Why is this so?
We are farmers who have specified on keeping rabbits for purely manure and the rabbit urine. They're making profits, as in they don't go to the agrovet to buy fertilizers and other foliar feeds. So they only depend on this purely manure, which is a very good ingredient for organic farming, and the rabbit urine, which helps them as a foliar feed and as an insecticide in the farm. Yeah, so they are cutting costs on controlling the pests and diseases, and even the nutrients in the, or buying fertilizers from the agrovets.
And what makes rabbit urine a pesticide?
Rabbit urine is known to have nitrogen. Much of it is nitrogen, and nitrogen has a pungent smell, which is an insect repellent. So that's why people use the solution of, which is okay. That's why people use highly concentrated rabbit urine, and then they mix it with some insect repellent plants, ferment it, so that it can be a fertilizer or foliar feed and an insecticide.
Wow, what a cost-free pesticide. So tell us, how can one make their own pesticide from rabbit urine at home?
For you to utilize rabbit urine as an insecticide, you need to have a ratio of 1 liter 1 liter of rabbit urine to 5 liters of water, and then you need to mix some cuttings of some leaves that are cut into small pieces of Tithonia, and then you ferment it. You put it in the jerry can, and then it should be airtight. Then you can put it in the sunlight for like 1 week after the fermentation, and then you can filter it, and then use it directly to keep away the insects. You can spray on the crops.
What is Tithonia?
Tithonia is a plant that grows in the wild naturally, but it's in the family of the sunflower. It's just like the sunflower, only that they have small flowers as compared with the sunflower. And then it's an insect repellent plant naturally. So where they are planted, you will find minimal number of insects like mosquitoes. It keeps away mosquitoes and other. So if it can keep away mosquitoes scientifically, it can also keep away all these insects that are menace to our crops.
Are there any alternative leaves for Tithonia?
If you know of any plant that is an insect repellent, you can use it. But the best one used is Tithonia.
So how can a farmer do proper rabbit breeding?
Okay, first, after you've checked on the rabbits that you want to start with, so it starts like this. You have to have separate cages first. So the male should be in the cage, and then you introduce the female to the male cage, and then after mounting on the female, you should be waiting for at least for higher success rate. You should have the female in the male cage for at least 2 days, and then after 28 to 31 days, you should be expecting kids. And then before you expect the kids, like 1 week to kindling, you should have a nesting box in the female cage and some hay or dry grass where they're going to give birth the babies in.
Naftali, we need to take a short commercial break, but we'll be right back on Get It Right.